Alright, what's going on, everybody? I'm just gonna say this right now. This could be a very long day that we have ahead of us here. We've got a double slight risk of severe weather today, one of them being centered across portions of the Ohio Valley, the other one being centered across portions of the Northern Plains. We're going to be watching for the threat later tonight in some spots of damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour, very large hail, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes in the Midwest. So we'll have to look out for that. The tornado threat for today, according to the Storm Prediction Center, if you are in that brown area, you have a 5% chance to see a tornado in your towns. That includes portions of eastern Illinois, southern Indiana, southwestern Ohio, extreme southwest Ohio, and extreme north central Kentucky here, right? So this does include Louisville, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Indiana, all the way up towards, or all the way down towards Bloomington, Indiana, Jasper, Indiana, Vincennes, Indiana, back up towards Terre Haute, Indiana, and then stretching towards Charleston and Effingham in Illinois. That is not the only thing that we're going to be watching out for today. Once again, we do have a significant damaging wind threat for today, and actually, interestingly enough, the place where we're going to have that damaging wind risk be the most significant, according to the Storm Prediction Center, is up here in the Northern Plains. So areas from O'Neill, Nebraska, back up towards Bismarck, North Dakota, need to be looking out for the potential of damaging, destructive winds. I'm kind of surprised, though, at the most recent update at the SPC that just came out a few minutes ago, they didn't add a hatched risk for winds down here. I definitely would have. I think that we're going to have some chances to see significant damaging winds kind of along this little corridor here later into tonight, kind of extending all the way from Tennessee back into parts of Illinois. I would not rule out some isolated damaging winds of 70 to 75 miles per hour, so we'll look out for that. And the hail threat for today, alright, it's also pretty significant. We've got ourselves a hatched risk for hail once again back up into the Northern Plains. The Ohio Valley threat for hail is a little bit on the lower side. We can't rule out some isolated large hailstones, but the main threat is going to be back up here into the Northern Plains. Now, we also do have a tertiary threat for severe weather today across portions of the mid-Atlantic area. We've got ourselves a marginal threat of severe weather driven by a small hail and gusty wind risk. All right, now we already have some storms firing down in the southeastern United States, alright? We've got some pop-up showers and thunderstorms here, and some of them are becoming strong to severe. If we take a look from Lewisburg, Tennessee, we can see as this starts to try to load here, hopefully, we're probably going to see quite a bit of a torrential downfall there, or a downpour there. Sorry, you can't see that, can you? But yeah, can definitely see we just had a very heavy thunderstorm roll through, and it's actually getting quite windy there. The camera's shaking around a little bit, so interesting stuff there in portions of central and southern Tennessee for sure. And again, that goes for all of the southeastern United States here, right? We're talking about North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and maybe southern Kentucky over the next few hours. We have to watch out for the threat of some strong to severe storms, but again, overall, I think that the main risk today is going to be here in the Ohio Valley with our big-time tornado threat. The tornado threat, once again, according to the Storm Prediction Center, is a 5%. NATOcast is saying the same thing at the most recent outlook, I do believe, but let me go ahead and get an update on that. But as you can see, we got tons of storm chasers out there today, alright? We got storm chasers Corey Gherkin, we have got storm chaser Connor Croft, and we got storm chaser Brandon Kopic, and they are all heading down here to this corridor along Interstate 70 in eastern Illinois and western Indiana. So we'll be watching mainly for some severe storm development down there. We got a higher pocket of wind shear mixed with a ton of instability, so we definitely could not rule out a couple of tornadoes today. The good news is strong tornadoes aren't a super high threat because we're mainly going to be talking about a linear mode of storms, but we can't rule out an isolated, brief, strong tornado. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'll go ahead and pull up the stream chat here. So let me know what you think. Rotation northeast of Kalamazoo. Is there really? Let's check that out. Let's see. Wow, yeah, so we've actually already got some weak rotation here on the far northeastern side of Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's nothing crazy, but it is there. So Richland Junction, back up towards Cressy and Turner's Corner, I'd be looking out for that. Good catch. But yeah, again, the greater tornado threat today should lie back towards parts of the Ohio Valley later this evening. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes portions of Tennessee here. That's for Moore, Lincoln, and Franklin counties. And if we take a look at that, actually, we can see that this storm on velocities is pretty impressive. We could see some damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour with this storm, and we can't rule out some hail up to quarter size. This is a live look from the Space Institute at the University of Tennessee. Or from the University of Tennessee, rather. I think they're the ones giving us that view, like the camera. Yeah, they've been rotating for a little bit up here in Michigan, but again, it hasn't been anything insane. Alabama does have that marginal threat of severe weather, but it's not going to be anything crazy. It's mainly going to be the leftovers of what we see up here. I think if you're south of Tennessee, you're not going to see anything crazy other than these afternoon time pop-ups, which we are already seeing. But I mean, from like the line of storms that we're going to see today, I think at that point they're just going to be reduced to nothingness. So maybe at the next outlook, the 8 p.m. Central one, we'll see them push that marginal risk a little further back after these pop-up storms are done. Yeah, the Kansas and Iowa storms last night were pretty crazy. We did actually have a brief tornado in Iowa after we ended stream. It was a pretty photogenic one, even though it was nighttime. But yeah, NATOcast has a very similar, very shockingly similar outlook to the SPC. If we turn on the SPC outlook, once again, the tornado threat here is a 5% for portions of Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. And NATOcast is saying almost the exact same thing. They have a 5% out for portions of Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky there. So very similar stuff. They also have that 2% risk back up there into portions of Nebraska and South Dakota, which the SPC also has, but it's pushing that all the way up into North Dakota. So pretty interesting stuff. Is it rated? Is not rated. It was likely a brief EF0 or EF1, maybe an EF1 because it was in a little bit of a populated area in central Iowa. But yeah. But again, we could be in for a very long day of severe weather coverage today, so this is probably not going to be the only stream, but it's going to be a long day. By the way, we do have a flash flood emergency in effect for Lincoln County, New Mexico. This is like the 30th one we've had this year, not an exaggeration. Yeah, I am in the risk. But, yeah, I mean, if you're in the Midwest today, I'd be looking out. It's going to be intense for a little bit, I think, for several folks. Yeah, the tight couplet in Marshalltown was the one that ended up producing that brief tornado after we ended stream. We had a couple of storm chasers on it, Brandon Kopic and Connor Croft, I believe. But the initiation of storms in the Midwest here in the Ohio Valley will not be for several more hours, most likely. If we go ahead and take a look here at the newest run of the ARRR, it's still loading, but we do have most of it. So we can see that maybe around 3 to 4 p.m. we'll see some stronger thunderstorms up in northeastern Illinois and northwestern Indiana, but the main round of storms is not going to come until about 8 p.m., 7 p.m., where the ARRR here, likes to paint a cluster of storms here in south central Illinois that could be strong to severe. So we'll look out for that, but it's eventually does kind of create more of a line formation here, right? By 9 p.m., it's showing a huge hailstorm here, apparently, in portions of Illinois, which is interesting. But anyway, that line of storms is going to continue to push southeastward here, according to the ARRR by 11 p.m. Central, midnight Eastern. We'll be dealing with a line of storms with damaging winds and large hail in southern Indiana and extreme southeast Illinois. And as we get to midnight, 1 a.m., that starts across the Ohio River near Louisville, to 3 a.m., kind of gets into more central portions of Kentucky. And then as we go later, really into tomorrow morning, we could still be looking at some strong to severe storms, maybe in portions of northeastern Tennessee or southeastern Kentucky, and those really continue all the way to like the Tennessee-North Carolina state line there, and eventually we do end up seeing some re-sparking of those storms. So even by tomorrow afternoon, we're still going to be dealing with some of those, as well as some pop-ups in portions of the southeast. Now, that pushes us into tomorrow, where we actually could see a very similar event, right? So, by 2, 3 p.m. tomorrow, we're starting to see some strong to severe storms in the tri-state area of Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois. 4, 5 p.m., remember, this is central time, we're starting to see those push more into portions of western Illinois. 6, 7, southern Illinois will be in the track of this, all right? Again, some big-time hailstones potentially in there, it looks like. And then, as we go later into the nighttime hours, by midnight, remember, this is Tuesday into Wednesday midnight, not tonight into tomorrow midnight. This is, again, very similar to what we could see tonight, all right? And then we're going to have another round of storms that does almost the exact same thing again. So the ARRR, interesting picture. Now the NAM, all right, sorry, I haven't been reading chat here. Roman I don't know what he's going to do. I haven't talked to him too much today, but the ARRR says, hey, maybe we don't get any storms really going until 6, or sorry, the NAM says maybe we don't get any storms going until 6, 7 p.m., and we don't see that line formation until 8 p.m., and it actually creates a bigger line of storms stretching all the way from the Illinois-Missouri state line almost back in towards Indianapolis. And by 9-10 p.m., that really is probably going to have a very high damaging wind threat here for portions of extreme eastern Missouri into southern Illinois and southern Indiana, maybe into far western Ohio. 11, midnight, once again, by midnight, it's kind of crossing the Ohio River. That's kind of the agreeance there in the models. By 2 a.m., that line starts to break apart. But by 3, 4, 5 a.m., we could still see some lingering severe storms in central Tennessee there. And then again, that next cluster of storms will come in, but we don't have the full run of the NAM yet to look at that. So anyway, there's rotation near Tullahoma, Tennessee. Let's check it out. I'd say it's mostly a damaging wind threat, but actually it is developing some weak rotation there, it looks like. So we'll watch that. I think for the most part, though, that's just going to be a damaging wind threat for south central Tennessee here in the Winchester area over the next several minutes. So let's check up on our Michigan storm here. We can actually get a live look at that from the Kalamazoo live cam here. So this is from Kalamazoo. You can see they just got dumped on. They're about to get even more rain here with this last part of the storm. The rotation up here is very marginal. We do have another spot trying to develop near Gardens Corners, but very weak in nature there, it looks like. We'll continue to watch that. It's going to approach Climax, Battle Creek, and Marshall, near the intersection of Interstate 94 and Interstate 69. You're in a marginal. Nice. Yeah, I've got the day 1 and 2 slight risks going for me, so I'm going to have some great storm footage videos for you guys. But this is the outlook for tomorrow. Again, extremely similar to today's outlook. We may see an upgrade to a 5% tornado threat here, but I doubt it. I think overall the tornado threat will be lower tomorrow than it is today. The damaging wind threat overall is going to be, again, the main thing we focus on tomorrow during our live stream, which, yes, we will be live across portions of the mid and upper Mississippi valleys. Hail threat for tomorrow is relatively low. It's rumbling there. Hearing some rumbles of thunder. Yeah, I mean, North Alabama definitely could be hearing some rumbles of thunder right now. But again, we're not going to see storm initiation here, according to any of the models, really, in portions of the Midwest for the next several hours here. I've watched Twisters twice. But yeah, we're going to have a very long night ahead of us. It's going to be pretty intense at moments, once again, I think, with both the tornado threat and the damaging wind threat. It's not anything insane. It's not anything that we haven't seen before. And it's not going to be like this is the event of the year or something, obviously. But I think that we could see some significant wind, hail, and maybe even a significant tornado threat over portions of both the Ohio River Valley and the Northern Plains today, once again, so. Hello, Indiana, Hamilton. The high is 94, despite feeling like 100 plus. It's brutal. New severe thunderstorm warning has now been issued. This is for portions of Miller and Early counties, Georgia. This is for areas in between Blakely and Donaldsonville. So if you're in Colquitt, make sure that you're getting indoors immediately. 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts are the main threat with that storm there. And it does look like we may have a gust front with that. So the wind here could, come before, even you get a drop of rain. So don't wait for the rain to arrive to get inside, because this gust front here could be significant. Across extreme southeast Alabama and extreme southwest Georgia there. But again, a lot of storms over south central Tennessee here that are managing to become strong to severe. And again, southwest Michigan, right now, we're seeing some storms. Mainly going to be a gusty wind and small hail threat. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two does get severe. We have had some severe storms up here this morning, I believe, into the early afternoon time hours. The severe thunderstorm warning expired before it got to. Real. But yeah, I mean, this is from Space Institute, University of Tennessee, from Estill Springs. I think it's facing the wrong way, but this storm is going to be coming in hot. Or is this storm moving north? No, it's moving south. Pocket of 60-mile-an-hour winds indicated by radar south of Tullahoma. Yeah, again, we could see some weak rotation out of that as well, but right now it's just an enhanced pocket of damaging winds. We have some weak rotation near Lynchburg, Tennessee. Approaching Pleasant Hill as well, which obviously, a couple months ago, significant tornado ripped right through this area. So that's a tornado that ripped through here, though. Was not in this exact spot. Where was that? It was, okay, it was further to the northwest. I was thinking of Spring Hill. Sorry, not Pleasant Hill. Yeah, I think for the most part it's just going to be damaging winds with this storm and maybe some isolated hail. Potential for prefrontal supercells exists tomorrow, although they will not bow discrete, sorry. Be discrete. I was kind of wondering what you were trying to say there. Blip watch for parts of Indiana and Illinois. I don't think it's really a blip watch setup today. It's more of a line of storms. Again, blip watches usually are indicative of supercells that we're watching out for, and it's whenever we have a loaded gun-like setup where any rain shower can become a supercell. It's not really going to be like that today. There's going to be a lot of storms today, but the environment's not quite juicy enough to have them all become severe, you know, in the Ohio Valley. Again, I think the greatest tornado threat does lie down in this general region. Maybe not as far west as I painted it, but like right there. Southwestern Indiana, northwestern Kentucky, and southeastern Illinois is probably where we have the greatest tornado threat for today. That would be my 5% tornado risk. I do think that we, again, with that pocket of shear that's kind of down here in this area, we could see an enhanced tornado threat. A lot of red flag warnings in Utah. Yeah, we have those all over the western United States right now, and it's going to get hot as well, which is not going to help this situation. Very significant wildfire season out there this year. I mean, it's been a significant everything season this year. Speaking of which, hurricane season, that potential tropical cyclone, we will have an update on that in the next few days. Oh, bless me. Starting to see stuff try to happen north of Champaign, Illinois. Those are just kind of little thunder showers. I don't expect these to really do anything too significant, but we may see some gusty winds out of those. But, again, we're watching the southeast for some pop-up severe storms this afternoon, and later tonight we'll be watching both the Ohio Valley and the Northern Plains for damaging wind, large hail, and tornado threats. And again, this mid-Atlantic risk shouldn't pose to be too significant, but maybe some isolated strong to severe storms are already trying to get going here in kind of northeastern Virginia. It'll sweep into that area there. Yeah, the hail with that Kansas storm was pretty crazy yesterday. In fact, we do have Ellis County with almost 500 customers without power due to that storm. Or I believe that's kind of where the storm went, right? Let's see here. Yeah, from that storm. So. Anyway. So, our storm down here near Kalamazoo no longer has a special weather statement, but again, the one to the north of it still does. And maybe some pockets of broad rotation trying to develop here. I don't think that we're going to see storms really get going for the next few hours here. Okay, we do have some thunder showers here trying to develop in northeastern Illinois and northwest Indiana pretty quickly, but that's not our main area where we're expecting to see a severe weather threat. Again, the most significant of the activity will most likely be down in this region of the country here. Kind of down in this region to get a little bit more accurate. So again, Bloomington, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, and maybe as far south as Owensboro, Kentucky is where we'd be watching for the greatest tornado and destructive wind threat, I'd say. And once you get east of that, you're no longer dealing with really a significant tornado threat, but the significant damaging wind threat definitely is still there in my opinion. But, again, all of our storm chasers are heading south here. They're almost in position, though, for this storm chase here, it looks like. Kind of cross at Arby's. Corey Gherkin is in Mansfield, Illinois. Little town here just northwest of Champaign along Interstate 74. And then also Brandon Coppock is in that area as well. So, they're going to be racing over here. Maybe they have decided to position a little further north, but I know originally they were talking about going down here. But we'll see. We'll see where they position. It would be somewhere in this general vicinity. So they're getting there, no matter where they're going to position permanently. Or not permanently, because it's a storm chase. But anyway, significant information drop here. That made no sense. New piece of information from the Storm Prediction Center. There's a 40% chance of a severe thunderstorm watch being issued for portions in northwestern Nebraska and extreme south-central South Dakota between now and 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central. Storms are expected to develop in the next 1 to 2 hours. Associated increase in severe risk may warrant weather watch issuance. And again, that's new information there. We just got that out 9 minutes ago. So anyway, what do you guys think of the new thumbnail? Is it too much? I kind of thought it was. I just wanted to do something different today for fun. Again, for a little bit, NATOcast was saying there would be a 10% tornado threat. A very, very, very small area, but that lets you know that they're on the cusp of deciding whether it's a 5% tor risk or a 10% tor risk. At least NATOcast is, anyway. The SPC is pretty solidly giving us a 5%, but yeah. NATOcast did have a very small area north of, out of all places, it was near Louisville, Kentucky, of a 10% tornado threat, which is interesting. I think most of the tornado threat should stay off to the west of Louisville, Kentucky, but Louisville, Kentucky, you are in, I believe you're in the 5% tornado risk today from the SPC. Yep, just barely, though. So, we'll see. But, anyway. Flash flooding is going to be a big threat today here in the Ohio River Valley because this area has seen so much rainfall recently. We do have ourselves a slight risk of flash flooding currently in place for a large section of the country, going all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, back towards Springfield, Illinois. So that's a 15% chance of seeing flash flooding within 25 miles of any given point, or excessive rainfall that meets flash flooding guidance anyway. And flash flooding is also going to be a big threat tomorrow, because again, similar area, going to see more storms. It goes all the way from just a sliver of New York back into a sliver of Georgia. And even going into Wednesday here, we've got another slight risk for parts of the Midwest. And by the way, apparently we did actually have a water spout over Lake Michigan as of only 7 minutes ago. So there was a video of a water spout just off of Ganges, Michigan, with a likely spray ring. So we gotta watch here this little storm near Holland. Again, I don't think it'll produce a tornado, but we could see some more of these storms here over southern Lake Michigan produce some more water spouts potentially over the next couple of hours. So we'll watch out for that. Isolated pocket of 70-mile-an-hour winds estimated by radar. To be fair, though, that is looking higher up into the atmosphere, but yeah, definitely pretty interesting stuff to watch there near Winchester Springs and Estill Springs. This storm has also been upgraded to ping-pong ball-sized hail, so look out for that. Again, if you're in this area, make sure you're getting indoors and away from windows immediately. In Winchester and Broadview, our live cam here just barely missed the worst of it, but it's windy, it's rainy. This is a pretty significant storm here. Look at how fast those trees are shaking. You probably can't see it, though, because my camera probably covers it up. But anyway. Just a second here. So, again, if you're just not tuning in, we are tracking severe weather right now across portions of the Tennessee Valley. And later today, we're going to be tracking severe weather across portions of the Ohio Valley back into portions of the Missouri Valley. All these rivers here. So again, if you're just not tuning in, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like and hit that subscribe button. But not required, just always appreciated, obviously. Trying our best here. So this camera here, the Baldwin County School District, recorded a 38.3-mile-an-hour gust less than 5 minutes ago, and if we were able to look even further back, we'd probably be able to see an even higher gust rating. So, this gust front here in Georgia, this is another gust front. We could be getting close to severe limit winds with this. So, if you're in Macon, Sandersville, I'd be getting indoors. Or anywhere in between, obviously. Pretty dangerous storm there. Talking about 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, frequent cloud to ground lightning, and heavy rain when thunder roars, go indoors. And we now have a severe thunderstorm warning. Considerable 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail for portions of Tennessee and Alabama. So if you're in this area, you need to get indoors and away from windows immediately in High Top and Winchester. So this is our storm to focus on now. Especially since we've got viewers in this area, obviously. So, again, if you're just now tuning in, we have a brand new, significant, considerable severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Jackson County, northeastern Madison counties in Alabama, and Moore, Lincoln, and Franklin counties in Middle Tennessee. So, again, if you're in this area, you need to be moving indoors and away from windows ASAP. Destructive winds are possible with this storm here. Again, a little bit off the surface here, we are measuring damaging winds close to 70 miles an hour, so it definitely makes sense that they made that upgrade there. Looking very interesting with the severe warning in Georgia. Let's check that out real quick. Yeah, you're in the mix now, Airborne. Yeah, so our severe warning here in Georgia. Wow, hook echo, rotation, everything. This could go tornado warning, guys. Yeah, this should get a tornado warning. This is a very dangerous storm with a significant pocket of rotation. A little bit less so on the most recent velocity scan, but it's probably close to a tornado warning. So we'll keep an eye out for that, obviously. And keep in mind there's also a gust front ahead of this storm here. Yeah, very supercellular look indeed, and it is rotating a decent bit, so we'll see what happens with all that. But we're going to have to focus on this storm now. We keep switching between all of them. So again, if we do have a tornado, it'd be right there, but I doubt we have one right now. But if it is on the ground, it would be north of Highway 273, along Highway 39, northwest of Colquitt, Georgia, near Lucille, Jones Crossroads, and Mayhaw at this point. So again, if you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning, and this storm could actually produce a tornado, so look out for it. The Macon, Georgia storm could go severe warning as well with the wind. Let's check things out. Another gust front. It could, but I think only if the velocities pick up a little bit, because they've actually been on a downward trend in general, so I doubt they'll severe warn this, at least in the near future. But there's always a chance. But yeah, we talked about this storm just a few minutes ago. Seems like an area of rotation near Dunlap, Tennessee. Yeah, but this is another one where we're looking very high up in the atmosphere, but it's definitely there, so we'll watch it. Yeah, I don't know. We could see a tornado warning with the one in Georgia. Whatever the National Weather Service decides here, I believe it's NWS Dauphin, or Mobile. Would this be Mobile, Pensacola? I don't know. We may have some sort of microburst activity going on here near Newville, Alabama to watch. But again, our main focus is on this Lucille storm now that we know that it has some significant rotation there, and a hook echo even as well. So again, if we do have a tornado, it would be southeast of Lucille right now. It'd be right in there where the greens and the reds meet, over the Griggs Lucille Road, approaching the Tree Notch Road and Griggs Lucille Road intersection southward. Hello, Gooseman, what's up? But, again, that's not a debris signature that I was showing, but, I was just checking to see if we did, it was an unlikely chance, but I was just checking to see if we did have one, and we don't. So that's good news. Again, right now we only have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, but the ones that we do have are significant. Again, one is a considerable one, and one of them could produce a tornado, so we'll see what happens here. Again, south of Centerville is where we'd be watching for this tornado at this point. So again, we'll see if this gets a tornado warning here. There's a good chance. Again, also watching some maybe higher pockets of damaging winds near Newville and Danzy, Alabama, along the Alabama-Georgia state line here, pretty much, is where we're watching for most of our significant storms right now. So our Winchester storm looks to be losing some steam in terms of the damaging winds, but one last pocket of winds here coming into Winchester. So if you're in Winchester, now's the time to get indoors and away from windows. You should already be there, but if you're not, you really need to go now. And those kind of winds knock over trees and power lines all the time. And, you know, they'll rip off shingles off your roof or whatever. They can knock over semis on the interstate from time to time. So 70 miles an hour is where you start talking about more serious impacts, you know. But again, we still have ourselves kind of a hook echo here. We could see a rain-wrapped tornado out of this, so don't go trying to look for this thing. The rotation looks to be much less, though, at this point, so that's good. We'll continue to watch it, but I think at this point we should probably refocus ourselves on our Tennessee-Alabama state line storm here. Again, not seeing anything in the Midwest too significant right now other than some thunderstorms trying to get going in northeastern Illinois and northwestern Indiana. But Kalamazoo here, once again, just got a big time storm. They just got drenched in rain, as you can see. Look at that storm structure. Wow. That is beautiful. This side's sunny, this side looks almost apocalyptic. We have 3 Cape in the region, but I'm thinking that little merger just killed it. Yeah, I think so as well. Again, we have that little knob there now in the storm. So, that's good. But yeah, it looks like this little buddy here, this little thunder shower, or rain shower, whatever you want to call it, just killed this storm. So that's good. Kind of pushed it in, if that makes sense at all. This storm actually, with the special weather statement near Mount Pleasant, would be the one to watch now. It's actually rotating quite a significant amount. It has a hook echo, it has a velocity couplet, and we may even see a brief tornado out of it. So again, if you're in this area, I'd be looking out for this. The storm only has a special weather statement, but it's a dangerous one, I'd say. Inflow is still packing in, so not completely dead. I don't think it's going to produce a tornado, though. Again, I think if we see a tornado in Georgia at this point, well, I was going to say it would be out of this storm, but this doesn't even look impressive anymore now, luckily. So, we'll continue to watch that near Mount Pleasant, but, let's see what's going on here on the next radar scan on velocities from the Dothan radar. 3 Cape is influencing an unusual supercellular mode. Yeah, this doesn't look impressive to me at this point. Again, there's your velocities, broad rotation at best, so we may, have to continue to watch that just for a little bit longer, but for the most part, it should be pretty much done. And we do now have over 460 customers in Coffee County, Tennessee, without power after a storm producing 70-mile-an-hour wind swept through. Again, power lines do get knocked over with storms like this. At least a few. Almost every time. Whenever you have a storm this significant get knocked over. So again, some of our storms here along the Illinois-Indiana state line are trying to get going here, but again, these aren't going to be the main ones that we're watching for a serious, severe threat, you know. And we could see some isolated severe storms, but the worst of it should stay south of that area. We'll see that storm development kind of in a few hours here. So Corey Gherkin and Brandon Kopic are now in Champaign-Urbana in east central Illinois, with Connor Croft still just chilling there in western Indiana. He's on the road, though. So, again, I think they're heading a little bit further south, and that's where they're going to position themselves, kind of right in this region. Maybe a little further south down here. Some rotation near the radar site north of Dothan, Alabama. Let's check that out. Yeah, so, again, just our little microburst activity there. It looks like I doubt it'll be anything serious, but again, damaging winds could be a serious threat here near Kirkland's Crossroads. They got hit by what looks to be 2 pockets of damaging winds now in Kirkland's Crossroads. Higher winds there northwest of Montgomery, Alabama. That's not even warned, but we may see a special weather statement come out for that or something near Billingsley and Mulberry towards White City and areas along Interstate 65 near there. So again, still mainly watching Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia here for some of these severe thunderstorms. So again, still got that flash flood emergency out there for Lincoln County in New Mexico. So again, if you're in this area, stay alive, don't drive, seek higher ground now. Flash flood emergency for Brady Canyon and Ruidoso Downs. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Seek higher ground now. Emergency management reported. Yeah, these southeast supercells here, even though they may briefly have strong rotation or something, we're likely not going to see any sort of significant tornado threat out of these, obviously. As we've been saying, really the only spot where I'd actually be watching for a tornado and maybe a strong tornado would be back here in the portions of southeast Illinois, southwest Indiana, and northwestern Kentucky. So, our considerable severe thunderstorm warning here along the Tennessee-Alabama state line. The storm associated with it appears to have lost a lot of its steam once again. Still have some damaging winds near Cowan, but I doubt they're going to keep this at a considerable warning for much longer. They did actually just issue a new severe thunderstorm warning for Cleveland, Tennessee. And this storm actually does have some broad rotation here near Saudi Daisy, so we'll have to watch that. We're watching this storm here for a little bit, but it does now have a severe thunderstorm warning, and again, that's for portions of Bradley, Sequatchie, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but Sequatchie and Hamilton counties in eastern Tennessee. So if you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors immediately. 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts could be associated with that storm there. And, again, our camera here from Baldwin County, Georgia, is still offline, but we're still getting gust measurements over 30 miles an hour, even now, after the storm has completely passed. So, for the most part. Over 1,000 customers in Bullitt County without power. Storm is formed in Huntington, Indiana. Let's check that out. Yeah, I mean, this area isn't too, fueled for severe storm and tornado potential, though. So mainly with that, we'd be watching for gusty winds, small hail, and heavy rain. Kind of similar to some of these storms here along the Illinois-Indiana state line. Being hit by a very strong storm in Statesboro, Georgia. Had to call the NWS about it. Is that the one in southwest Georgia? No, that's the one in central Georgia. Yeah, so we actually did just mention that this storm is knocking out power here. It looks like, again, we have about 1,300 customers here in Bullitt County without power already from this storm, or most of those are associated with that storm anyway. But, again, damaging winds at this point with our Tennessee storm isn't anything insanely impressive. We'll keep watching it. Again, it did knock out power. They tagged it with the special weather statement. Yeah, that's been there for a little bit. But we do now have over 800 customers in Coffee County without power from this storm here in Tennessee that, again, is producing damaging winds up to 70 miles an hour. And I'm sure that's just the beginning of the extent of the damage we're going to see. Or the winds with this are probably closer to 65 miles an hour, so they could have used that tag, but they don't use that very often, interestingly enough, so I think they just jumped right for 70 because it's close enough anyway. But I think we're going to end off the live stream here because we don't really have anything going on right now. But remember, we will be live later tonight for severe storms in the Midwest and the Northern Plains. So if you guys did enjoy, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in.